Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Are you getting tired of fussing with your RV steps? We have the original steel steps that fold in and out, and they're just a pain. The older they get, the stiffer they are. No matter how much I lube them, they're just a pain. We were fed up, so we went out, searched for a better solution. We found one. Stick around, and when we come back, we're going to show you what we found, and we're going to install them. All right, so these are our original factory steps, and you can see they're spongy, they give a lot, they twist, and when I go to close these, I mean, look at that, how stiff, and they're rusty, and they're stuck, and they're bent, and they're just a huge pain. They don't go in straight. You can see they're already crooked. And I know it's not just Tina and I know you guys or somebody out there is having the same sort of trouble. So we were looking around for a solution, and lo and behold, one day we get an email from a company called Torklift, and Torklift asked us if we wanted to try their Glowstep Revolution steps. And I'm going to show you the box here in a second, show you the part numbers. We said sure, we'll give them a try. So they sent us a couple sets of them. So they gave us this product, and we're testing it out. So they're sponsoring this video, Torklift International. We already installed a set on our garage entry door, so we're going to go take a look at those, and then we're going to open these up and get them installed on the front here. But let me show you the box real fast. So they sent us the A104 4-step Torklift International Glowstep Revolution, and then they also sent us the A020 spacer kit, and we'll get to that a little bit later. I'll show you why that's important. But let's go back and take a look at the other set that I installed. So this is the final product, and you can see, looks like some of the other steps out there on the market. Now they sell a 4-step, 2-step, 3-step, and a 5-step version. They also have the version that folds up into the doorway. But this is the version we chose because this is what we already had. But you can see, I mean, they are sturdy. So let's go ahead and get the other set installed, and then we'll go through how they operate, how they adjust. They're really pretty cool, and I think you're gonna like them. All right, before we get started removing our old steps, let's go ahead and take a look at these Torklifts. They're extremely lighter than the factory steel steps because they are aluminum. Now, for those of you that have the aluminum factory that pull out, those are going to perform a lot better than these steel ones I have. Let's go ahead and pull these Torklifts out of the box and check them out. Okay, they come very well packaged. They got all this brown paper stuff coiled up on top of them, but let me show you here. I can actually lift these with one hand. That's how light they are. They're pretty light. There we go. So in order to install these, you're just going to need a couple basic hand tools. I've got a crescent wrench down there to reach one of these back bolts, and a couple wrenches and sockets, but we'll get to that here in a second. One thing I did want to show you, flip this around. So that's how the steps mount into the trailer. So they just simply replace those steps. We've got some shims over there we'll look at here in a second. We're gonna have to shim the opening because these aren't nearly as wide as the factory steps. You got a little latch here, the safety pin, and you pull the latch, the steps come out. I'm gonna show you here in a second how to take the steps out of the frame to make it much easier to install by yourself. But before we do that, let's go ahead and pull these steps out. So you've got this bolt here, and you've got the bolt in the back, and you've got two of those on each side. And then back in the very back corner, you've got a 3/8 screw. It's just a self-tapper. The way I normally do these is I'll take these 4 bolts out first, and then I'll take the 2 self-tappers out of the back and just let the steps fall. They are heavy, so be careful. Don't get your feet under them. But let's go ahead and take these bolts out and get these steps off of here. The hardest ones to get to are these back ones. There's not a lot of space in here to get your hand, so I'm going to use a long crescent wrench I reach in there and grab the nut if I can see it. Oh, come on. Just like that. And we're not going to reuse this hardware, so you can go ahead and toss it. In my case, it's all rusty and nasty anyway. So I always take the rear bolts out first, just because they're the hardest to get to. And then we'll deal with the front ones. There we go. Okay, back ones are out. Now let's do the two front ones. And in this case, I can just use a regular 1/2-inch wrench because the nut is literally right there. There we go. And then we'll do the same on this one. Like I said before, just make sure you don't have your feet in the way in case they fall. There we go. Okay, let me give you a little better shot. There's those 3/8 self-tapping screws. You can see they self-tap into that little metal bracket. I'm just going to use my ratchet to take them out, and once those come out, you can see the spots here where the bolts used to be. Once I take these self-tappers out, these steps are going to fall, so make sure you got your feet out of the way. Okay, here goes. These steps have been in here a while, so normally they're kind of stuck in there with some rust and that sort of thing, so they shouldn't fall prematurely. There we go. So 2 to 3/8 are out. And now, just like that. I know some of you are going to freak out a little bit about how I kicked the steps and they fell down, and it is a little dangerous. I guess you could hurt yourself. In lieu of doing it the way I just did it, you could always stack blocks, like wooden blocks, up underneath the steps to kind of give them something to support them while you take all those bolts out, and then you just pull the steps off the blocks. I've done it that way as well. All right, so we got those steps off. That was pretty easy. Now we're going to get ready to start installing these. You'll know which part is the front because of these two bars sticking out. Now there's a safety pin that you're supposed to put in when you travel, and I'll show you that here in a second. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to unlatch these. They provided an Allen wrench, so we're going to take the steps out of the frame so we can install the frame by ourselves, and then we'll put the steps back in the frame. So we're just going to pull this lever just like that, and we're going to pull the steps up. Just like that. Now these bolts we're going to take out with the Allen wrench and a socket. We're going to take those out, and that'll take the steps off. So let me do that real quick. It's going to be a 9/16. And the Allen wrench the factory so kindly gave us. They're not very tight, so you don't have to get crazy. Just remember that you've got a plastic spacer or bushing, a steel washer, the bolt, and then inside here there's a plastic bushing that we're going to take out. Of course it flew out. Okay, so here's the plastic bushing. So just remember, you've got bolt, bushing, black plastic, steel, and then the nut when you go to put it back together. Now keep this hardware because we got to put these steps back in the frame once we're all done. Okay, I'm going to take the other side off and take the steps out of the frame. There's the 2 bolts and the Allen wrench. And you can see we took the first one out here. We took the second one out here. And now these steps will simply lift off the frame. And they are super light. So now you got the steps and you got the frame. Now the frame is much lighter. We can carry it over and it goes in just like that. You just remember that the Glowstep sticker goes on the front. It actually tells you how to operate the steps, which is kind of cool. Next step is we got to take a measurement. We're going to measure between this bracket and this bracket. And we're going to measure this frame. And then we're going to use shims to make that space narrow enough for this frame because it's actually smaller than the opening. So let's take a measurement here real quick. Okay, so my opening bracket to bracket is about 26 3/4 or so, and this frame is 25. So we got to take up that distance between here and here with shims. And let me take you back to the other set of steps back here, and I'll show you the shims. So there's 3 shims. And there's 3 shims. So I had to use 3 on these to get the space small enough. Now, I could have shifted these steps over far left and used all the shims on one side, but I would have gone and got longer bolts because the bolts they send are just about long enough for 3 shims. Your steps are going to come with 2 shims. If you need extras, you can get them from Torklift. They actually sent me 3 boxes of shims. So you can see here, you got the longer bolts. Got the longer bolts there. And then this is 2, and this is 2. We're gonna use 1 set of those along with the shims that came with the steps. So these are the 2 that came with the steps, and these are the 2 new ones. Now the genius part about this is the double-sided tape. So you can stack these shims inside the opening like this, and we're going to use the round hole up there and the slotted hole back there, and we can double face tape these in so they stick to each other, so when we put the frame in we don't have to worry about the shims falling out. It makes it a one-man install super easy. So I know I'm going to need 3 shims on each side because I installed the other steps earlier. So I went ahead and peeled off the backing and I stacked 3, and they're double face taped together, which is awesome. And then I'm just going to hold this up here, line up the holes, and stick them on. Peel that backer off. And I'm gonna line this up with the outside with that hole, just kind of like that. There we go. Now they send 2 different size bolts, so the holes themselves have a smaller bolt, and the slots have a bigger bolt. It's kind of like that. So either way they'll work, but I ended up having to use a larger bolt in the back and a smaller bolt in the front, just like that. All right, I'm gonna install the other shims on the other side, and then we'll hang this frame. Take my 2 front bolts, I'm gonna put them in first. Makes this frame really, really light. And I'm going for the top hole. So there's the top hole there. Okay, there we go. I finally got it installed. You can see I had 3 spacers on each end. That double face tape really helps a lot. Now, these are quite a bit narrower. I mean, they're a couple inches narrower than the door, but it's not really going to make that much difference. So next step is we need to reattach the steps with those bolts and spacers right here. And the best way I found to do that is go ahead and release that, and you see it pop down. And now we can hang the steps, and then we'll put them back up. One thing I did want to show you before I get too far, after the actual step hardware bag and the 1 extra spacer box, this is how much hardware I have left over. So they send you a lot of good hardware, all the washers, lock washers, nuts that you need, different sizes and lengths. So I had a pretty good time putting these in with all this hardware. And of course, I'm going to keep this because you never know, that next project will probably need a bolt or two. So there's that. Just went in reverse order: bolt, spacer, plastic, steel, and the nut. Same on this side: spacer, plastic, steel, and the nut. And now you can see they're just kind of free hanging here. So in order to put them away, what we have to do is we have to pull this lever, and when we pull this lever, we're going to push them up. And let me kind of see if I can do this with one hand and show you. So we're going to pull the lever, we're going to push them in like that, and it's going to lock just like that. Piece of cake. Let me set this up over here so you can see, and I'm going to open them and show you how they adjust. So you're going to pull the lever, you're going to pull the steps toward you, and as soon as these two white plastic things clear, you're going to drop the lever, and that's notch 1. Then you just pull the steps out like this. What I found on the back steps is step 2, notch 2 worked the best. We're going to put it at notch 2, bring these out, the feet are flat on the floor, just like that. And here's the feet. Now the feet are adjustable, so you can adjust them down. In the back, I have the feet down in like the next to the last hole, but it looks like this is going to be pretty sturdy in the front. And you can see just how solid they are. They're super solid. You've got the safety pin there when you put them up so they won't fall out going down the road. And they work really well. So let me fold them up. I'll show you how easy that is. So you're going to accordion the steps up like this, just like that. Pull up the lever, push the steps in until they latch, install the safety pin, and you're done. Just like that. They're light. I bet I shaved, between the two steps, I probably shaved 100 pounds off this coach. So it's worthwhile. And then just as easy to open again. Pull this, whoops, pull out the pin, pull this, notch 1, notch 2, pull out the steps, and flat on the floor, just like that. Now, we could try this in the top notch, just like that, and pull the steps out a little further. But you see how this top step is kind of angled a little bit? So we're going to go to the next step. Right there. And now my step is more flat. Now I can adjust these bottom feet up to make it a little more level on top. So let's do that. We're just going to drop this down a notch. Just like that. See if that helps. Cool thing about these too, if you have uneven terrain, you can adjust one foot lower than the other one. Okay. They do have rubber feet on the bottom. There, that's much better. Now the steps are sturdy. I mean, they're solid. Yeah, I definitely recommend these Glowstep Revolution aircraft grade aluminum. Okay, Maggie, you want to try the steps? Come on. Come on, try them. It's okay. Very good. Good job. Come on, let's go in. Use the new steps. Use the new steps. Go on, you can do it. Go on, it's okay. Go on. Good job. Much more sturdy for her.
We don't have to worry about her toenails either.
I know.
Yay.
No holes in the steps. Awesome.
So stable. These are awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
you like them?
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Another cool little accessory that they sent us is the A7603 Dirt Destroyer. And I was trying to figure out in my mind what the heck a dirt destroyer was, but check this out. It's pretty cool. It is a dirt destroyer for your shoes. Check that out. So basically you hang it on the side like this, just like that. and scrub off your shoes. Leave all the dirt outside. That is cool. And they sent me 2 of them, 1 for each step. Hey there, back with an update. Well, it's been a few weeks since we installed our Torklift International Glowstep Revolution steps, but I wanted to show you a couple things that I forgot to mention when I did the install earlier. So one thing is, the reason they call these glow steps is because they have these little reflective stickers on each step, and they'll give you, according to the manufacturer, they give you 10 hours of glow, so at night you can see where the steps are. Now, it's not like a neon light or anything, but at least you can kind of see the corners of the steps and guide your way that way. I also wanted to show you guys that through trial and error, we figured out that this top position for this door is perfect. We just have to raise the feet a little bit to make the steps flat, but they're working really well. We've been in 3 or 4 different campgrounds since I did this install. We've had a couple occasions where concrete patio ended short of the rear steps, and so we had one of the bottom feet all the way down and the right one all the way up, and it worked perfectly. The steps are super sturdy. I've carried cases of water, bottled water in and out of them, and I tell you, after using those steel steps and having them spring on me when I'm carrying something heavy is a little unnerving. These steps are solid. But yeah, they're pretty awesome, and we're super happy with them. There'll be some links down below in the video description, so you can go there and get yourself a set of Glowstep Revolution steps. They make a 2, 3, 4, and a 5-step version. So pick the version that's right for your coach. We have a DRV JX450 Fullhouse, and the 4-step version is perfectly fine for our rig. Well, that's about all I have for you today. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got something of value out of it. If you have any questions about these Glowstep Revolution steps, or if you have them and you have any comments for the other viewers, please put them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer those as I can. And as always, until next time, safe travels. Bye.